The snow fell heavy that night in Alaska. Lieutenant Jake Morrison walked through the forest with his team, their boots crunching on the frozen ground. He had been a soldier for 6 years, but tonight felt different. The air seemed to hum with electricity, making the hair on his arms stand up. Suddenly, the sky split open. Purple lightning tore across the darkness, and something massive crashed through the trees. The ground shook under Jake's feet. His radio crackled with static as Sergeant Lisa Hayes shouted for everyone to take cover. Jake hit the ground as debris flew over his head. When he looked up, he saw a ship unlike anything he had ever imagined. It was silver and smooth, with lights that pulsed like a heartbeat. Smoke poured from a gash in its side, and the metal groaned as it settled into the snow. Before Jake could process what he was seeing, gunfire erupted from the forest. But these weren't normal bullets. The shots came out as bright beams of red light that turned trees into ash. His team scattered, trying to find cover in the destroyed landscape. Jake raised his rifle and saw the enemy. They were not human. The creatures stood 8 feet tall, covered in black armor that looked like insect shells. Their weapons glowed with deadly energy. There were at least 20 of them. Moving through the trees with military precision, Corporal Danny Price fired his rifle. But the bullets just bounced off the alien armor. Lisa threw a grenade that exploded near 3 of the creatures, but they walked through the smoke unharmed. Jake realized with cold certainty that his team was outmatched. That's when he saw her. A small figure stumbled out of the crashed ship, no bigger than a child. She had blue skin that glowed softly in the darkness, and her eyes were wide with terror. She wore torn clothing that might have been beautiful once, and she clutched something shiny around her neck. The child ran into the clearing, slipping in the snow. One of the armored aliens turned its weapon toward her. The barrel began to glow brighter, charging for a kill shot. Jake didn't think. His body moved before his mind caught up. He sprinted across the open ground, knowing he was making himself a perfect target. The distance seemed impossible, but somehow his legs carried him faster than he'd ever run. He reached the child just as the alien fired. Jake threw himself over her small body, wrapping his arms around her and turning his back to the threat. The energy blast hit him square in the chest. His tactical vest absorbed most of the impact, but the force felt like being kicked by a horse. He heard his ribs crack, and pain exploded through his body. The child made a small sound of fear beneath him. Jake held her tighter, using his body as a shield. More shots flew over their heads as his team laid down covering fire. He heard Lisa screaming orders, heard Danny's rifle going on full automatic. Through the pain, Jake forced himself to move. He scooped the alien child into his arms and ran toward the old mining facility he'd seen on their patrol map. His chest felt like it was on fire with every breath. But he didn't stop. The little one clung to him, her small fingers gripping his uniform. Smoke grenades exploded around them, creating a gray cloud that hid them from the enemy. Jake's cousin, Lieutenant Kate Morrison, appeared beside him, firing her weapon to cover his escape. She shouted something, but he couldn't hear over the sound of battle. Jake made it to the mining facility and crashed through the door. The building was old and falling apart, but the walls were thick concrete. He set the child down gently behind a pile of broken equipment, and turned to secure the entrance. The alien child looked up at him with eyes that held intelligence beyond her apparent age. She reached out and touched his chest where the blast had hit. Her hand glowed with soft blue light, and Jake felt the pain lessen slightly. It was still bad, but somehow bearable now. Outside, the fight continued. Jake could hear his team calling to each other, could hear the terrible sound of those energy weapons firing. He wanted to help them, but he had to protect this child. She was someone's daughter, someone's family. The fear in her eyes reminded him of his niece back home. The child spoke then, her voice musical and strange. Jake couldn't understand the words, but the meaning was clear in her tone. She was thanking him. Despite everything happening around them, despite the pain and the fear, Jake felt something shift inside him. This wasn't just a mission anymore. This was personal. He positioned himself between the child and the door, his rifle ready. If those armored creatures came through, they would have to go through him first. His ribs screamed in protest, but he ignored the pain. He had made his choice the moment he ran into that clearing. Through the broken windows, Jake watched the battle. His team was falling back, using every trick they knew to stay alive. Danny went down, hit in the leg, and Kate dragged him to cover while Lisa provided suppressing fire. They were good soldiers, the best he'd ever served with. But they were fighting an enemy from nightmares. The alien child tugged on his sleeve. She pointed to the pendant around her neck, which had started to pulse with blue light. The rhythm was steady, like a beacon. She touched it once, then pointed to the sky. Jake looked up and saw something new. The clouds parted, and another ship descended. This one was smaller than the crashed vessel, but moved with grace and purpose. It bore different markings than the first ship, symbols that seemed to shine with their own light. The new ship opened fire, but not at Jake's position. Its weapons targeted the armored aliens with surgical accuracy. The creatures that had seemed invincible moments ago were now scrambling for cover. Within 2 minutes, they began retreating into the forest, leaving their dead behind. The rescue ship landed in the clearing. Its side door opened, and 3 figures emerged. They looked like adult versions of the child beside Jake. Same blue skin, same intelligent eyes. But these wore armor and carried weapons. They moved like trained warriors, securing the area with professional efficiency. The lead figure removed her helmet. She was tall and strong, with features that spoke of both kindness and steel. She called out in that musical language, and the child beside Jake responded with obvious relief and joy. Jake felt the little one slip from his arms and run toward the newcomers. The lead warrior caught her, checking her for injuries with careful hands. Then those ancient eyes turned to look at Jake, and he saw something in them he hadn't expected. Respect. The warrior commander approached slowly. She stopped a few feet away and spoke in English that was accented but clear. Her words would change everything. You protected the princess. You took injury for one not your own. This is not forgotten. Jake stared at her, trying to process what she'd just said. Princess. He'd saved a princess. Before he could respond, his team emerged from their positions. Kate reached him first, her face tight with worry and confusion. The warrior held up her hand in a gesture of peace. I am Commander Zara of the Stellar Guard. The child you saved is Princess Lily, daughter of our Empress. The creatures who attacked are called the Krell. They are our enemies, and now they are yours as well. But you are not alone. You saved our future queen, and for that, you have earned something precious. You have earned our protection. Princess Lily had been watching the exchange. She pulled free from her attendants and ran back to Jake. Despite his injuries, he knelt down so they were at eye level. She wrapped her small arms around his neck and spoke in careful English. You are my shield. I will be yours. Jake didn't understand what that meant, not yet. But as he looked at the alien warriors, at his battered team, at the destroyed forest around them, he knew his life had just changed forever. He had made a choice in a moment of crisis. Now he would live with the consequences, whatever they might be. The medical bay on Commander Zara's ship was unlike anything Jake had ever seen. The walls glowed with soft light, and machines hummed quietly as they worked. A tall alien with gentle hands examined his cracked ribs, running a device over his chest that felt warm and soothing. Jake sat on the examination table, watching his team through the transparent wall. They were in another room, being checked for injuries and talking with other members of the Stellar Guard. Kate kept looking his way, her expression a mix of concern and disbelief. Princess Lily sat in the corner, wrapped in a blanket despite the comfortable temperature. She hadn't left his side since they boarded the ship. Her attendants tried to take her away twice, but she refused to go. She just sat there, watching him with those big eyes. Commander Zara entered the medical bay, her armor removed to reveal a simple uniform underneath. She moved with the confidence of someone who had commanded soldiers for many years. She pulled up a chair and sat across from Jake. The doctor says you will heal completely, Zara said. Your ribs will need time, but the princess's touch helped more than you know. She has a gift for healing, though she is too young to control it properly. Jake nodded, unsure what to say. He had so many questions, but they all seemed inadequate given the situation. Zara seemed to understand his confusion. You want to know why we were on your planet. You want to know about the Krell. You want to know what happens next. Yes, Jake said simply. Zara leaned back in her chair. We came to Earth on a diplomatic mission. Your governments have known about us for 3 months, though they kept it secret from your people. We wanted to establish contact, to begin the process of bringing humanity into the greater galactic community. The meeting was supposed to be quiet and controlled. The Krell learned of our plans. They are an old enemy, older than your recorded history. They believe that only the strong deserve to survive. Their compassion is weakness. When they discovered that Princess Lily would be present at the meeting, they saw an opportunity. Jake glanced at the child in the corner. They wanted to kidnap her or kill her, Zara said bluntly. Either outcome would have been acceptable to them. The death of our heir would have thrown our government into chaos. Her kidnapping would have given them leverage in our long war. They sabotaged our ship, forced us to crash in that remote location. They did not expect human soldiers to be nearby. Commander's eyes fixed on Jake, and they certainly did not expect one of those soldiers to sacrifice himself for an alien child he had never met. I didn't think about it, Jake admitted. I just saw a kid in danger. That is what makes your actions so remarkable, Zara said. You had no knowledge of who she was. You had no promise of reward. You simply saw someone helpless and chose to protect them, even at the cost of your own life. That is what we call honor. She stood and walked to the window that looked out at Earth far below. My people have a law that is older than our written language. We call it the life debt. When someone saves the life of another, especially a child or member of the royal family, a bond is created. The saved owes the saver everything: protection, loyalty, resources, whatever is needed. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. Commander, I don't want anything. I was just doing my job. Zara turned to face him. That is precisely why the debt is so powerful. You ask for nothing, therefore we owe you everything. Princess Lily has declared you her shield. That is not a title we give lightly. It means that you are now under the protection of the entire Stellar Guard. Any threat to you is a threat to us. Any enemy of yours becomes our enemy. That seems like a lot for just helping one person, Jake said quietly. You do not understand, Zara said, and for the first time he heard something like urgency in her voice. The Krell recorded the battle. Their drones captured everything. They know your face, your name, your identity. To them, you are the human who ruined their plans. They will seek revenge, not just against you, but against your family, your friends, your squad. The Krell do not forgive. The medical bay's door opened, and Kate walked in. She had a bandage on her arm and looked exhausted. She nodded to Commander Zara, then came to stand beside Jake. They just told us we're being taken to a secure facility in Virginia, Kate said. Nobody can know what happened. The government wants to keep this quiet while they figure out what to do. Zara's expression hardened. Your government can do what it wishes, but they cannot hide Lieutenant Morrison from the Krell. The enemy already knows where he is. As if her words had summoned them, alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Zara's hand went to a communication device on her wrist. She listened for a moment, her face growing grim. Krell ships just entered your atmosphere, she said. 3 heavy cruisers, heading directly for your position. They are coming for you, Jake Morrison. They are coming now. Jake stood, ignoring the pain in his ribs. My team is down there, my people, and they will be protected, Zara said firmly. She spoke into her communicator in her own language. Through the window, Jake saw something incredible. Ships began appearing in the sky, materializing out of nothing. Dozens of them, all bearing the same markings as Zara's vessel. I told you, Zara said. You are under our protection. That means all of it. Every ship, every soldier, every weapon we possess. The Krell want war, we will give it to them. Princess Lily had climbed down from her chair and walked over to Jake. She took his hand in her small one and looked up at him. When she spoke, her English was careful but clear. Do not be afraid. My people keep their promises. You saved me. Now we save you. The ship shook as it began to descend toward Earth. Through the window, Jake could see the Krell ships. They were massive and dark, bristling with weapons, but the Stellar Guard fleet was moving to intercept them, forming a defensive wall between the enemy and the planet below. Kate grabbed Jake's arm. This is really happening. We're in the middle of an alien war. No, Commander Zara corrected. You are in the middle of an alien alliance. The Krell started this war centuries ago. Today, they made it your war too when they chose to attack you. But you are not alone. You have allies now. Powerful allies who honor their debts. The ship landed at the Virginia facility with practiced ease. Jake and his team were escorted off, surrounded by Stellar Guard warriors. The human soldiers at the facility stared in shock at the aliens walking among them. Generals and officials rushed to meet them, their faces showing a mixture of fear and fascination. But Jake's attention was on the sky. The battle had begun. Energy weapons lit up the darkness as the two fleets clashed. The Stellar Guard ships moved with incredible coordination, each one supporting the others. The Krell fought with brutal efficiency, but they were outnumbered. A general approached Commander Zara. He was an older man with hard eyes and a chest full of medals. I'm General Martin Cole. I need to understand what's happening here. Why are you risking your forces to protect one soldier? Zara looked at him with something like pity. Because that is what honorable people do. Because Lieutenant Morrison showed us that humanity is capable of great courage and selflessness. Because the life debt is not just words to us. It is who we are. She turned to Jake. The Krell will not stop. They cannot allow your example to stand. A human who would die for an alien child threatens everything they believe. They will come for you again and again. Then what do I do? Jake asked. You live, Zara said simply. You continue to be the person you were in that forest. You show your people that the galaxy is not all monsters and threats. Some of us believe in honor, some of us keep our promises, and some of us will stand beside you, no matter what comes. Princess Lily pulled on Jake's hand. He knelt down, and she wrapped her arms around his neck again. She whispered something in his ear, words he couldn't understand but somehow felt in his heart. Commander Zara smiled. She said that you are the bravest person she has ever met. She said that when she grows up, she wants to be like you, strong enough to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Jake looked at this small alien child who had changed his life in a matter of hours. He thought about the choice he'd made in the snow, the split-second decision that had seemed so simple at the time. He had saved one life. Now an entire civilization had come to save his dot above them. The battle raged on. The Stellar Guard was winning, pushing the Krell back into space. But everyone knew this was just the beginning. The real war was yet to come. And Jake Morrison, a simple soldier from Earth, stood at the center of it all. Protected by aliens he'd never met, honored by a culture he didn't understand, all because he'd done what he thought was right. The life debt had been invoked. Now everyone would live with the consequences. 3 days passed in a blur. Jake spent most of that time in meeting rooms, being questioned by people who wore suits instead of uniforms. They wanted to know every detail about the encounter. They asked the same questions over and over, as if his answers might change. His team was kept in the same secure facility but in different sections. Jake only saw them during meals. And even then, guards watched everything they said. Kate looked frustrated every time their eyes met. She hated being caged up, unable to contact their family or tell them they were safe. The doctors had examined him thoroughly. His ribs were healing faster than normal, which the medical staff found fascinating. They ran tests and took samples, trying to understand what Princess Lily had done to him. Jake let them work, too tired to protest. On the 4th morning he was brought to a large conference room. General Cole sat at the head of a long table, flanked by intelligence officers and 2 civilians Jake didn't recognize. Commander Zara stood against the wall with 2 of her guards, still in full armor. Jake took a seat and waited. He had learned that these people liked to make him wait. It was some kind of power play, though he didn't understand why they bothered. He was just a soldier following orders. General Cole opened a folder and studied it for a long moment. Then he looked up at Jake with an expression that was hard to read. Lieutenant Morrison, we've been reviewing the events of 4 days ago. We've also been in communication with Commander Zara's superiors. What we're facing here is unprecedented in human history. One of the civilians leaned forward. She was an older woman with sharp eyes. I'm Dr. Susan Pierce, head of the alien contact team. Commander Zara has explained this concept of a life debt to us. Frankly, it sounds like something from a fantasy story. It is very real, Zara said, from her position by the wall. And it is binding. Lieutenant Morrison saved Princess Lily at great personal risk. Under our oldest laws, he is now protected by our entire military force. This is not negotiable. The second civilian, a thin man in an expensive suit, spoke up. I'm Director Peter Grant from the State Department. Commander, surely you understand that we can't just accept foreign military forces on American soil. We have sovereignty to consider. We have protocols. Your protocols did not save the princess, Zara said coldly. Your sovereignty did not put Jake Morrison in that forest. He was there by chance, and he chose to act with honor. That honor has earned him protection that your politics cannot dismiss. General Cole held up his hand. Everyone calm down. We're all on the same side here. He turned to Jake. Son, I need you to understand something. What you did was brave. It was the right thing to do, but it's put us in a complicated situation. The Krell now see Earth as involved in their conflict with the Stellar Dominion. Jake kept his face neutral. With respect, sir, I saw a kid about to be killed. I didn't think about politics or consequences. I just reacted. That's exactly the problem, Director Grant said. You didn't think. Now we have alien fleets in our atmosphere, and we're caught in the middle of a war we don't understand. Zara's hand moved to her weapon, and the temperature in the room seemed to drop. You speak as if Lieutenant Morrison should have let the princess die, as if saving her life was a mistake. Is that truly what you believe? The room fell silent. Dr. Pierce looked uncomfortable. General Cole's jaw tightened. Even Director Grant seemed to realize he had crossed a line. Kate's voice came from the doorway. Can I speak, sir? Everyone turned. Kate stood there with Lisa and Danny, all 3 looking like they had fought their way past the guards. General Cole sighed. Lieutenant Morrison, I assume you're here without permission. Yes, sir, Kate said. But we needed to say something. Jake is my cousin. He's also the best soldier I've ever served with. If he saw a child in danger and had the chance to help, he was going to take it. That's who he is. That's who we train our soldiers to be. So maybe, instead of treating this like a problem, we should be proud that one of our own showed the galaxy what humans are capable of. Lisa stepped forward. Commander Zara told us about the Krell they believe might makes right. They think compassion is weakness. If we're going to meet alien civilizations, don't we want them to see us the way Jake acted in that forest? Don't we want them to know that humans protect the innocent? Danny, still limping from his leg wound, added his voice. We've been listening to you people talk for 3 days. All you care about is politics and power. But Jake cared about something simple. He cared about doing what's right. Maybe that's exactly what Earth needs right now. General Cole studied the 3 soldiers for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, he smiled. You're all going to be disciplined for this breach of protocol. But you're not wrong. He turned to Director Grant. They're not wrong. The general stood and walked to the window that overlooked the facility's grounds. Commander Zara, I need to understand the full scope of this life debt. What exactly does it mean for Earth? Zara relaxed slightly. It means that Lieutenant Morrison and those who fought beside him are under our protection. It means that any Krell attack on your planet will be met with the full force of the Stellar Guard. It means that humanity has gained powerful allies. If you choose to accept that alliance, and if we refuse, Dr. Pierce asked, then the debt still exists, Zara said, but it would be limited to Jake Morrison and his squad. The Krell would still hunt them. We would still protect them. But the rest of your planet would be on its own when the Krell decide to expand their revenge. Director Grant looked alarmed. You think they'll attack Earth directly? I know they will, Zara said. You are not ready for space warfare. Your technology is centuries behind theirs. Without our help, they could destroy your major cities and ours. They will do this not for conquest, but to make a point, to show that helping us has consequences. The conference room door burst open. An officer rushed in, his face pale. Sir, we have a situation. Long-range sensors are picking up massive energy signatures. Multiple ships entering the solar system. General Cole's hand went to his sidearm. Krell. Unknown, sir. But they're big, really big, and there are a lot of them. Commander Zara was already speaking into her communicator. She listened for a moment, then her expression softened into something like relief. It is not the Krell, it is the Empress. The main screen in the conference room flickered to life. Jake saw a woman who looked like an older version of Princess Lily. She wore robes that seemed to shimmer with starlight, and a crown of crystalline material rested on her head. Her presence was commanding even through a video screen. I am Empress Nova, the woman said. Mother to Princess Lily, sovereign of the Stellar Dominion. I address the leaders of Earth because words must be spoken clearly. General Cole straightened. Your Majesty, I'm General Martin Cole of the United States Army. We're honored by your presence, though I wish the circumstances were different. Empress Nova's expression was kind but firm. General, I understand your concern. First contact should not happen like this, with battle and blood. But the Krell forced our hand. They always do. They cannot allow peace to flourish because peace would end their way of life. She paused, and her eyes seemed to find Jake in the room. Lieutenant Jake Morrison, you saved my daughter's life. You showed courage that most beings, human or alien, never possess. You asked for nothing in return. That selflessness has invoked our most sacred law. Your Majesty, Jake said, standing at attention. I was just doing what anyone should do. But not everyone would, Empress Nova said gently. That is the point. The Krell expected your soldiers to run or negotiate. They have studied your species. They know you are not yet united, that you fight among yourselves. They thought you would see an alien child as not your problem. You proved them wrong. The Empress turned her attention to the others in the room. That is why they will seek to destroy Lieutenant Morrison. Not for revenge alone, but because he represents a threat to their ideology. If humans can show compassion to aliens, if you can look past differences and choose honor, then you become an example. The Krell cannot allow such examples to exist. Director Grant found his voice. So we're caught in your war because of one soldier's action. You were always going to be part of this war, Empress Nova said. Humanity is expanding into space. In a few generations, you will have ships that can travel to other stars. When that happens, you will meet the Krell. They will give you a choice, submit to their dominance or be destroyed. Lieutenant Morrison's action has simply moved up the timeline. She smiled, and it transformed her face. But it has also given you something precious. You have allies now. The Stellar Dominion will stand with Earth. We will share our technology, our knowledge, our protection. Not because we seek to control you, but because Jake Morrison showed us that humanity is worth standing beside. Princess Lily appeared on the screen next to her mother. The little girl waved at Jake, her face bright with joy. Jake Morrison is my shield. I am his sword. That is our law. That is our promise. Empress Nova placed a hand on her daughter's shoulder. The princess speaks true, though she is young. A life debt is more than protection. It is partnership. It is trust. Lieutenant Morrison, you have a choice to make. You can remain on Earth, living under our protection. The Krell came at sunset. Jake was in the training yard with Commander Zara, learning the basics of their combat system, when the alarms began screaming. The sound cut through the evening air like a knife, sending soldiers running to their stations. Zara's face went hard. She touched her wrist communicator and listened for 3 seconds. Then she grabbed Jake's arm. They are here. 20 heavy cruisers breaking atmosphere. They are coming for this facility. They are coming for you. Jake's team was already gearing up when he reached the armory. Kate tossed him a vest while Danny checked ammunition counts. Lisa was coordinating with Stellar Guard soldiers, her natural leadership cutting through the language barrier with hand signals and clear commands. General Cole burst into the room. All personnel to defensive positions. This is not a drill. He looked at Jake Morrison. Get to the command center. If they're here for you, I want you somewhere we can protect you, sir. With respect, I should be fighting, Jake said. You will be, Cole said, but from where you can do the most good. Commander Zara needs someone who understands both human and Stellar Guard tactics. That's you now. The command center was deep underground, surrounded by 3 feet of reinforced concrete. Screens covered every wall, showing different angles of the sky above. Jake watched as the Krell ships descended like dark angels, their hulls bristling with weapons that could level cities. But the Stellar Guard was already there. Their ships formed a defensive sphere around the facility, moving with coordination that spoke of centuries of practice. They didn't fire first. They waited, giving the Krell a chance to retreat. The Krell answered with violence. Red beams of energy lanced down from their cruisers, striking the Stellar Guard shields. The protective barriers held, but Jake could see the strain on the alien ship systems. There were too many Krell vessels, and they were all focused on breaking through to the facility below. Commander Zara stood at the tactical display, her fingers moving across holographic controls. She was directing the fleet's movements, adjusting their formation to cover weak points. But even Jake could see they were stretched thin. The Stellar Guard had ships protecting military installations across the entire planet. They couldn't concentrate their full force here without leaving other locations vulnerable. How many ships do they have in total? Jake asked. In orbit around Earth. 237, Zara said without looking up. The Krell have 20 here, but they have another 40 moving toward other targets. They are testing us, seeing how thin they can spread our forces. An explosion on one of the screens caught Jake's attention. A Stellar Guard cruiser had taken a direct hit, its shields failing. The ship began to fall, trailing smoke and fire. He watched it crash into an empty field miles from the facility, and felt sick knowing there were people on board. Zara, we're losing this fight, he said quietly. I know, she replied, but we will not abandon you. That is not our way. Kate appeared at Jake's side, her face grim. Danny's setting up the heavy weapons on the roof. Lisa's organizing the human soldiers into fire teams. We're ready to fight if they get through. They won't get through, Zara said with certainty. Not while we still have ships in the sky. But Jake knew better. He'd been in enough battles to recognize when the tide was turning. The Krell were coordinating their attacks, focusing fire on one ship at a time. They were willing to take losses to break the defensive line. It was only a matter of time. That's when the sky changed. Jake saw it on the screens first, then felt it in his bones. The air itself seemed to vibrate with power. New ships began appearing, materializing out of faster-than-light travel. Dozens of them. Hundreds of them. The command center erupted in confused shouts. General Cole was demanding information. His officers were calling out ship counts that kept rising. 200, 300, 500. Commander Zara smiled for the first time since the battle began. The Empress has arrived. The main screen switched to show a massive vessel that dwarfed everything else in the sky. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time, covered in crystalline structures that pulsed with energy. Smaller ships surrounded it in perfect formation, moving like a school of fish. A voice filled the command center, rich with authority and warmth. This is Empress Nova of the Stellar Dominion. Krell forces, you have violated Earth's airspace and attacked those under our protection. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. The Krell response was predictable. They fired everything they had at the Empress's flagship. The energy beams struck the ship's shields and simply disappeared. absorbed by technology far beyond what the Krell possessed. So be it, Empress Nova said softly. Let it be known that we gave them a chance for peace. What happened next was the most incredible display of military power Jake had ever witnessed. The Stellar Guard fleet moved as one, no longer defending but attacking. Their weapons lit up the sky with blue light, each shot precise and devastating. Krell ships began falling from the sky, their armor useless against the concentrated firepower. But the Krell weren't finished. One of their largest ships, a massive dreadnought that looked like it was built from nightmares, pushed through the defensive line. It ignored the damage it was taking, focused entirely on reaching the facility. On reaching Jake, that is a problem, Zara said calmly. Dreadnoughts are their heavy assault ships. They have not deployed one in 3 centuries. The Krell truly want you dead, Jake Morrison. The dreadnought's main weapon began charging. Jake could see it on the screens, a sickly green energy building in the ship's forward section. When that weapon fired, it would punch through anything in its path. The facility, the people inside. Everything. Jake made a decision. Evacuate the facility. Get everyone out. There is no time, Zara said. The weapon will fire in less than 2 minutes. Then do something, Jake shouted. Don't let people die because of me. A new voice spoke, young but filled with determination. Princess Lily's face appeared on every screen, broadcasting from her mother's flagship. She looked scared but resolved. Warriors of the Stellar Guard, humans of Earth, hear me now. I am Princess Lily, heir to the Dominion. I invoked the law of shields. Jake Morrison protected me when he had no reason to. He is my shield, and I declare myself his sword. All who serve the Dominion, all who honor our laws, defend him. Defend him because it is right. Something changed in the Stellar Guard fleet. Jake could see it in the way the ships moved, in the intensity of their fire. They weren't just following orders anymore. They were fighting for one of their own, because Jake had become one of their own the moment he threw himself over a terrified child. But Lily wasn't finished. She spoke in her own language now, her voice carrying across space to every Stellar Guard ship in the system. Jake didn't understand the words, but he felt their weight. This was more than a battle cry. This was a summons. The sky tore open. Ships poured through faster than light rifts. More ships than Jake could count. Thousands of them, all bearing the marks of the Stellar Dominion. They came in answer to their princess's call, ready to defend the human who had defended her. The Krell dreadnought fired its main weapon. The green energy beam shot toward the facility with unstoppable force. But 12 Stellar Guard battleships moved into its path. Their shields linked together, creating a barrier of pure energy. The beam struck the barrier and stopped. For 10 seconds, the most powerful weapon the Krell possessed fought against the combined shields of the Stellar Guard. The shields held, the beam dissipated, and then the battleships returned fire. The dreadnought lasted longer than it should have. It was built to take punishment, designed to survive against impossible odds. But even it couldn't withstand the focused fire of the entire Stellar Guard fleet. It broke apart in the sky, raining debris over the ocean miles away. The remaining Krell ships tried to retreat. The Stellar Guard let most of them go, content to drive them from Earth's space. But 3 Krell cruisers that had directly fired on the facility were pursued. Jake watched as they were systematically destroyed, the Stellar Guard showing no mercy to those who had threatened him. In 30 minutes, it was over. The sky cleared of enemy ships. The Stellar Guard fleet maintained its defensive formation, but the immediate threat had passed. In the command center, people began to breathe again. General Cole walked over to Jake, his expression unreadable. Son, do you understand what just happened? An entire alien civilization just went to war to protect you. They lost ships, people died, all because you saved one child. Jake felt the weight of those words. I didn't ask for this, sir. No, you didn't, Cole agreed. But you got it anyway. The question now is what you do with it. Empress Nova's face appeared on the main screen again. She looked tired but satisfied. General Cole, the Krell have been driven from your system, but they will return. They cannot allow this defeat to stand unavenged. We will maintain a fleet presence in Earth's orbit for your protection. Your Majesty, we are grateful, Cole said, but we need to discuss the long-term implications. We can't rely on your forces to defend us forever. You are correct, Nova said, which is why we will begin technology transfer immediately. We will teach you to build ships, to defend yourselves. In time, humanity will stand beside us as equals. 6 months had passed since the battle. Jake stood in the training hall of a Stellar Guard ship, sweat dripping down his face as he faced Commander Zara. She moved like water, her fighting style combining grace and deadly efficiency. He'd gotten better at predicting her attacks, but she was still far beyond his skill level. She struck fast, and Jake barely blocked the blow. Her next move swept his legs out from under him, and he hit the mat hard. Again, that made 17 times this session better, Zara said, offering her hand to help him up. 6 months ago, you would not have seen that first strike coming. You are learning. Jake accepted her hand and stood. His body was different now. Stronger, faster. The Stellar Guard's training methods combined physical exercise with technology that enhanced human capabilities. He could run longer, hit harder, think quicker. But more important than the physical changes were the mental ones. He understood their language now, not perfectly, but enough to hold conversations. He'd learned their history, their culture, their way of seeing the universe. The Stellar Guard wasn't just a military force, it was a philosophy. Protect the weak, honor, courage, never abandon those who cannot defend themselves. Princess Lily entered the training hall, escorted by 2 guards. She'd grown in the past months, both physically and in confidence. She still looked young, but there was wisdom in her eyes that seemed older than her years. She smiled when she saw Jake. "You let Commander Zara beat you again," Lily said in English. She'd been practicing the language, wanting to speak with Jake in his native tongue. "She's a better fighter," Jake admitted. "But I'm getting closer." "You are," Zara agreed. "In fact, I believe you are ready for the next phase of your training." She led them to a different section of the ship, where General Cole and several other human officers were waiting. Jake hadn't seen Cole in months. The general looked older, more tired, but there was satisfaction in his eyes. "Lieutenant Morrison," Cole said formally. "Or should I say, Guardian Morrison. That's your new rank in the Stellar Guard, correct?" "Yes, sir," Jake said, "though I'm still getting used to it." Cole smiled. "I'm here because Earth has made a decision. We're accepting the Empress's offer. Full alliance with the Stellar Dominion, technology transfer, cultural exchange, joint military training. The whole package." Jake felt his heart race. "That's huge, sir." "It is," Cole agreed. "And you're part of the reason why." When the public learned what happened in Alaska, when they saw footage of the Stellar Guard defending Earth, opinions changed fast. People saw that aliens weren't just threats. Some of them were allies worth having. He paused, his expression becoming serious. "But the Krell haven't forgotten. They've been probing our defenses, testing our resolve. Small attacks, hit-and-run tactics. They want to prove that Earth is too weak to be worth protecting, that humans will abandon the alliance when things get hard. They will be disappointed," Zara said firmly. "We do not abandon our allies, and from what I have seen, humans do not either." An alarm sounded, different from the battle alerts Jake had learned to recognize. This was a communication signal. The room's main screen activated, showing Empress Nova, but she wasn't alone. Kate stood beside her, wearing a Stellar Guard uniform. "Kate," Jake said in shock. His cousin grinned. "Surprise. Turns out I wasn't the only one who wanted to join up. Lisa and Danny are here too. We figured if you were going to be a bridge between our peoples, you shouldn't have to do it alone." Empress Nova spoke. "Guardian Morrison, I have a mission for you. The Krell have established a base on one of your outer planets. They are using it to launch attacks on Earth's satellites and deep space probes. We need to remove them, and I believe this is a task that should be completed by both humans and Stellar Guard working together." "A joint operation," General Cole said. "First of its kind. Your team, Morrison, you, your cousin, your squad, plus a full Stellar Guard tactical unit. Commander Zara will lead." Jake felt the weight of it. This wasn't just another battle. This was proof that the alliance could work, that humans and aliens could fight side by side and win. "When do we leave?" Jake asked. 2 hours, Zara said. "We have a fast ship prepared. The journey will take 3 days. Use that time to coordinate with your team and plan the assault." The ship was sleek and deadly, built for speed and combat. Jake's team assembled in the briefing room, studying holographic displays of the Krell base. It was heavily fortified, built into a canyon on one of Neptune's moons. Getting in would be difficult. Getting out would be harder. Kate sat across from him, her expression focused. "How do you want to play this?" "The Stellar Guard has the firepower to level the whole base from orbit. Quick and clean, but that's not the point," Jake said. "We need to prove we can do this together. That means boots on the ground. Human and alien soldiers working as one unit." Lisa nodded. "I agree. Besides, the Krell are expecting an orbital bombardment. They've built their base to survive that. They won't expect a ground assault." Danny pulled up schematics of the base's interior. "Look here. Their power core is deep underground. If we can sabotage it, the whole base goes dark. Their shields drop, their weapons go offline. Then the ship can finish them. Zara entered the briefing room with Princess Lily. The princess had insisted on coming, despite her mother's concerns. She wore light armor and carried no weapons, but her presence meant something. It showed the Stellar Guard that their future ruler had faith in this mission. Your plan is sound, Zara said after reviewing their strategy, but you are missing one element. The Krell will have taken prisoners, humans from the damaged satellites, possibly some of our own soldiers from earlier skirmishes. We cannot leave them behind. A rescue mission on top of sabotage, Kate said. That complicates things. But it is necessary, Lily said quietly. We do not abandon people. That is what makes us different from the Krell. Jake looked at the young princess, remembering their terrified child in the snow. She'd changed, grown stronger, but she still held on to that core belief. Protect those who need protection. All right, Jake said. We split into 3 teams. Team 1 hits the power core. Team 2 finds the prisoners. Team 3 provides cover and watches our exit route. We go in fast, complete all objectives, and get out before they can organize a response. The 3 days of travel passed in intense preparation. Jake trained with his team, memorizing every detail of the base layout. They practiced room-clearing tactics with the Stellar Guard soldiers, learning to work together despite different fighting styles and communication methods. On the night before the assault, Jake stood in the observation deck, watching Neptune's blue glow in the distance. Lily found him there, as he somehow knew she would. Are you scared? She asked, standing beside him. Yes, Jake admitted, but that's normal before combat. Fear keeps you sharp. Commander Zara says you are one of the best students she has ever trained. She says you have a gift for understanding people, for knowing what they need. Jake smiled. I just try to do the right thing, same as in that forest. Lily took his hand, her small fingers warm against his. You changed my life that day. You changed my people's understanding of humans. Before, we thought you were primitive and violent. Now we know you are capable of great courage. Some humans are, Jake corrected, just like some Stellar Guard are great warriors, and some are scientists or artists. We're all individuals. That is what I am learning, Lily said. That is what I will remember when I become Empress one day. Every person, human or alien, deserves to be judged by their actions, not by assumptions. The assault began at dawn, though dawn on Neptune's moon was arbitrary. They dropped from orbit in stealth pods, landing a mile from the Krell base. The landscape was frozen and hostile, temperatures cold enough to kill an unprotected human in seconds. But their armor kept them warm as they moved across the ice. Jake led Team 1. With 3 Stellar Guard soldiers and Danny, they approached the base's south entrance, using scanning equipment to avoid detection sensors. The door was sealed, but the Stellar Guard tech made quick work of it. Inside the base was dark and industrial. Krell architecture favored function over beauty. Everything was sharp angles and harsh lighting. They moved through corridors, eliminating guard patrols silently. The Krell never saw them coming. Team 2, led by Kate, found the prisoners in a detention block near the base's center. 12 humans and 4 Stellar Guard soldiers, all showing signs of rough treatment but alive. Kate's team freed them quickly, providing weapons and armor to those who could fight. Team 3, under Lisa's command, held the main corridor that connected to the landing bay. They set up defensive positions and waited for the inevitable alarm. Jake's team reached the power core. It was a massive structure, pulsing with red energy. Danny set charges at key points while the Stellar Guard soldiers provided security. They had 4 minutes before the explosives were active. That's when everything went wrong. A Krell patrol found Team 3. Lisa's team engaged them, but the noise brought more enemies. The alarm screamed through the base, and suddenly they were fighting their way through dozens of Krell soldiers. Jake made a decision. Danny reduced the timer to 2 minutes. We need to move now. But we won't all make it out in time, Danny protested. Yes, we will, Jake said with certainty.